AllReasonNoLogic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an All Reason No Logic Beyond All Reason shoutcast. You're joining us for an exciting new experience where we try a new game mode, King of the Hill. Playing today, we have myself, Pradith, and Twig atop the hill, surrounded by Tank Tom and Bruticus leading a horde of viewers in an attempt to take the top of the hill. So a couple of the rules today to make this all possible. We have a no-rush 10-minute timer running, without which I fear the top of the hill would be unholdable. We have a no players from the bottom tier are allowed to ascend to the second tier until that 10 minutes. No static defenses that can reach the third ring, and no air. With these restrictions, can the players in the low ground beat Twig and myself on the high ground? A couple of other things to note: we've given Twig and myself a plus 75 bonus, which means that our income will be significantly greater, 75% in fact. This is to account for the fact that there are so many more players and a lot more metal on the low ground. To start this off, Twig and myself, we had the plan of taking this high ground, defending it, and trying to hold two sides while pushing down one side. We figure that the two of us combined should be able to punch through one of the players with ease, and then turn that into a victory as we surround the map. The players on the low ground just getting their bearings. Fast forwarding a little bit into this, as we have a slow eco start and no rush 10 minutes, so there won't be a lot of action. Myself and Twig expanding out, getting all of these medals. As you notice, if I click on my play, you can see these medals are worth 4.3 instead of the 2.7 that they, or 2.4 that they show up with when looking at the players on the lower ground. Having not played this before, none of the players here have a good handle on exactly how we're going to play this, but each team doing their best to work this out. On the low ground, we have MVP Pete, who is going for an eco-heavy strategy, sacrificing his comm for additional metal, going straight into the T2 and advanced Geo. We have other players getting ready with a rush, such as Groomer, who is getting ready with pawns and thugs, trying to break us under the sheer weight of numbers. Looking back up the top, Twig and myself are both moving our way into T2 ecos. And we're getting our T2 units out with only 2 minutes left on the clock. Pressure is certainly mounting for the top players. The plus 75 has allowed us to get a reasonably strong eco, but with only a minute and a half left, we still have barely spread out onto the second layer, and we have quite the formidable set of defenses coming up with Dragon's Maws, short-range jamming devices, getting ready to stop us. Some confusion in the comments, in top of the video. In this round, only the players on the low ground were not allowed to expand into the second ring. Myself and Twig were under the impression that we were able to expand into it, but from the second game onwards, we restricted it to the top ring for the King of the Hill players. With only a minute left, we have more T1 units being produced on the low level, and we have myself and Twig starting to build up with Hounds and Sheldons. Bruticus getting ready with an assault force of Fiends. Those are going to be tough to crack and should take out the Sheldons quite nicely, provided they can get on them. Twig is making for a T3 transition, as Twig's current income is sitting at, our team's income is sitting at approximately equal to the bottom tier. 2 players, one going on T3, is a reasonable bet. But with 5 seconds to go, the no rush timer is about to end. And we're about to see the players on the lower tier gun for the top, trying to take a offensive position. Twig and I begin moving out to take the fight to our opponents, with the hope that we'll be able to take a couple of them out before something goes too far wrong. We nearly had an EMP explosion, pausing Twig's units, which could have been devastating, but thankfully it was caught before it happened. Engagement starting on the right-hand side of the map. Unfortunately, because of a mismicro with my Deceiver and my Augur, my units walking straight into the defenses of Bruticus. Pop-up turrets, Twin Guards, and Dragon Moors repelling this attack. Twig starting his shelling much more successfully. Hounds very, very strong against Centurions. But we have a flank of Fiends. Twig should be able to clean these up, but they are going to take our middle tier eco. With Bruticus coming on up the hill with his Fiends, my T2 eco on the middle ground taken out. Going to have to hold. Thankfully, we have a Razorback and a reasonably strong defensive position with Wardens and Dragon's Maws to hold the line. Spiders heading on down, trying to bypass any defenses on the ramps that the lower teams may have started, trying to take on the Geo, maybe take a commander. These have just been left on a fight command as I micro the Razorback to stop Brutus's Fiends. We have another Razorback over this side, clearing out the Centurions and getting ready to march on down. Twig's Hounds cleaning up most of the Fiends and getting ready for their own assault. Spiders on the low ground managing to take out one of the Geos. That is a huge amount of power for the low ground team. And the Razorbacks starting to make their way in. One Rattlesnake and one pop-up not going to be enough to stop the Razorbacks. MVP Pete, fantastic effort getting that APHIS up, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he will be able to capitalize on its eco due to the map positioning and the timing of Twig's attack. Another attack happening up here. Unfortunately for the low ground team, it is just thugs against Sheldons. Sheldons should be able to clean this up. More spiders heading on down, but they're being intercepted by Rakusha's hounds and Groomer's thugs. Twig starting off with the tick spam, knowing that one of our biggest problem is going to be volume of defenses against those Razorbacks. One of those Razorbacks getting into MVP Pete's base, taking out all of the eco, and about to come back in for the APHIS. Pawns heading on down, having to follow... Ticks heading on down, having to follow obscure pathing in order to make their way around. B-Bomb sniping the Razorback with his comm. Great use of a D-gun there, but with all these ticks coming on in, that base is essentially undefended. Spiders heading up to the top of the hill, having taken out some of the eco. The King of the Hill players are suffering. T3 coming online for myself. And Twig's Hounds just hanging out at the top, helping defend. Very clever little move that we see from the low ground team, snaking some of these mexes as they can. Any additional eco will help against the plus 75s we've got up here. Ticks supported by Razorbacks heading on in, taking out more of the eco on the top half of the map. Twig being much more effective than myself so far, but with these Shivas online, that will change shortly. Soon we will see a transition from the players into more T2 units as the T1 becomes less and less effective. Razorback starting to push around, but we have a large number of spiders from Fire Axe that should be able to stop the Ticks and the Razorbacks in their tracks. Ticks coming down from the high ground as well, bit of a surround. We'll see whether that manages to punch through all of those spiders. Spiders reasonably good damage-wise, but a lot of their cost comes from their vertical movement. So the ticks and the Razorbacks punching straight on through, getting ready to cripple another player, but great D-guns by Fire Axe, holding the bleeding. Twig getting his hounds into the action again on this top half of the map. And my unit's just starting to move down with the Shivas frontlining. This won't be too difficult to punch through. Twig making his way into another base, crippling the T2 and the Eco. So this is another player down from the high ground team. But a lot of damage done to both sides, but advantage looks to be swinging towards the high ground players. That extra eco certainly helping get them rolling fast enough. T3 was quite difficult to... Well, T3 was quite achievable up on top of the hill, but quite difficult from the low ground. A force of Razorbacks getting ready to push across into Doodoo, and a large engagement as Bruticus's Fiends try to push on through, but those Shivas providing a strong enough front line to stop them from getting past. Continuous production of Shivas and Razorbacks seems to be the play of the day, and these hounds cleaning up another player but getting cleaned up themselves. The bottom on the left side of the map, most of the players have been cleaned up by Razorbacks, but Groomer holding back. D-Guns seem to have been the absolute MVPs of this match, destroying all of those T3 units. But the Shivas finally popping down and making their way towards Bruticus's base, and the Razorbacks up on the top, taking out another player. With a third of the map now taken out, things seem to be swinging further and further into Twig and I's favor, as there's a bit of a lull and just continuous combat walking down these hills. One of the areas that we were worried about was the balance of this game, and over the course of this series, one of the things we're looking for is how best to balance it. At the moment, Twig and I are making this look, I wouldn't say easy, but certainly manageable from the top of the hill, but we'll see if that continues through the rest of the games. Bruticus, absolute star with the D-gun, takes out 9 Shivas before finally succumbing. Huge amount of power pushed out of the lanes from that, and we have an attack coming up from Pigs as we have Recluse climbing those hills. No defenses in my base. And this is about to be a devastating attack from the low ground players, claiming a portion of the hill, taking out a large section of my eco. Ticks heading on in to try and stop this, but that Juno stopping the Ticks. Fantastic play from Bruticus getting that Juno up here. All of my build power and most of my power generation gone in one small attack from those spiders. Fantastic move, but strong defenses still holding the passes up to the top, so only spiders currently capable of pushing through. Twig pushing through and cleaning up the last of the base, and about to push through for another. Zar's not quite going to be strong enough to take on this many Razorbacks, and that is going to be another player down. Shiva's having... my Shivas over on the right side of the map being pushed back by great sniper play. And this is another player down, only 4 to go. But the momentum Twig and I have is failing because of my complete and total base destruction. But comparatively, the eco is still in favor of myself and Twig. This King of the Hill position, very strong. And attacking from the high ground has given us quite a lot of advantages. If you've seen Game of Thrones, you might understand the reference, what is stronger, 1 or 5? In this case, it looks like the 1 might be stronger. Large number of snipers over here absolutely dominating the Shivas. but unfortunately they're now on the long ground, on the low ground, and the old outage of "you have to see us to hit us" is very much alive here. Razorbacks punching on through, stopping Bruticus from retrying and getting back into the fight. We have a series of pawns trying to get up, but unfortunately against the defenses up in the base, those will not push through, and it looks like the low ground team has resigned this one, resulting in a victory for the high ground. Join us for the next one as we swap out the players on the high ground and see whether it was too much of a high ground advantage or if it was just Twig and I overpowering everyone else. Thanks everyone for joining. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and if you want to be part of our Wacky Wednesdays where we try things like this, we always do these on Wednesdays. Quick look at the statistics for metal and energy produced. We can see that Twig and I took very, very high starting position and managed to keep it through the rest of the game, but for damage dealt, we managed to overpower the rest of the team. Looks a little bit one-sided this time, but we'll see how it goes when the low ground players have had more experience and more time to think through their strategy. Thanks everyone, and we'll catch you next time.